WrestleMania 30, the WWE Hall of Fame, and the post-WrestleMania 30 Monday Night Raw are all in the books. That, my friends, was a weekend. Holy shit. I came up here last night and I did a review right after WrestleMania, 5 minutes after the pay-per-view went off the air. I'm doing the same thing tonight for Raw. I jotted down a few notes throughout the show. I wanted to come up and do a commentary immediately and finally give some closure to this whole WrestleMania 30 weekend situation. I feel like I've been going balls to the wall on my commentary page for the past couple of months, just chronicling, all the build to WrestleMania and how exciting it's been. And I'm so happy that the WWE made it worth it for me and for all of us to pay so much attention. This was a great WrestleMania and a great WrestleMania weekend full of festivities. It'll go down in history as one of the best, and it certainly got us talking. If nothing else, it got the wrestling world and the mainstream world buzzing. I was still in a complete state of shock last night when I did my commentary on WrestleMania. I still feel like I'm in a state of shock now, but having a whole day to reflect on it, like I said last night, this was Undertaker's decision. This was his call. This is something he wanted to do. Maybe he wanted to be a little bit more realistic. We can't get pissed at John Cena for winning all the time, and then get pissed at The Undertaker for losing one time. The Undertaker's old school. I think he wanted to keep it real. If he felt this was going to be the end, he didn't need the big fire pit, flaming, burning hole of hell to fall into in some big spectacular, special effect moment, in a main event of a WrestleMania against a colossal star, combined with his retirement farewell in a Hall of Fame. I guess he didn't want to do that. He wanted to go out like true professionals and true old schoolers do go out, and that's by putting someone over on the way out the door. But if nothing else, this WrestleMania will be forever remembered as the night that the streak ended. It'll go down in history 50 years from now as a very significant event, possibly the most significant event in the history of wrestling, one of the biggest losses ever. And it's actually nice to see that this type of shock, this type of emotion, this type of reaction out of fans is still possible in today's day and age. It gives me hope, for wrestling's future because, we all know it's not what it used to be. And me being such an old school guy myself, it's really not what it used to be. And the fact that I can be this shocked and this excited and this basically emotionally drained following a WWE show in 2014, makes me a happy man. But I'll talk a bit more about the streak later on when we talk about Brock Lesnar's promo on Raw. Let's talk about Raw first. The show opened up with Daniel Bryan celebrating, coming out to the ring with both of his titles. I was actually hoping, that if last night was going to mark the dawning of a new era, maybe we would have one belt. A lot of you don't mind the two belts, but I do. If you're going to have one title and they are unified, it's just less shit for the guy to carry around. And maybe, you can go back a little old school and have one belt out there and the wrestler actually wears it. Daniel Bryan came out wearing one of them, but the two belts are almost bigger than Daniel Bryan himself. It just seems like an awful lot of shit for a guy to carry around, a lot of crap for him to fumble around with when he's trying to cut a promo. I don't like it. I just wish they would, as much as I love the history, of the NWA and the WCW title and that belt and what it's meant, I kind of want it to go away and just use the WWE one. But anyway, Daniel Bryan comes out there to his big celebration and he thanks the fans, and of course the fans are jacked. This was a great Monday Night Raw crowd. Just like it is every year after Raw, there is some great fucking LSD, ecstasy, mushrooms, and all that shit floating around the audience. It must be very easy to get because every one of them were high off their ass. I think every wrestler got their theme song sung by the crowd tonight. But they were chanting their asses off and marking out so hard for Daniel Bryan. And I gotta tell you, when they started chanting, "You deserve it," I don't know what happened, but it fucking got to me. When I think of Daniel Bryan and where he came from and how proud of him I was last night, and I think of a perspective of a wrestler, I don't think there's any other chant, that would make you feel more proud to hear from an audience than "You deserve it." I mean, that really tugged at my heartstrings. I mean, I just let out this, half cry smile. I was just so elated that the fans were, showing him that respect. Imagine how that had to feel to him inside. Imagine other wrestlers that are looking at that and they're thinking of all the guys that have been in the middle of a ring, and the fans are chanting everything from "One more match" to "Thank you" to "We love you," to be able to hear everybody chanting "You deserve it," to me, I just thought it was one of the most special moments in wrestling. And if for any other reason, I think it got to me so much just because I was happy to see any guy be able to experience that. For the fans to, openly approve of a wrestler like that after he wins the title, no less. They haven't shit on him yet, although it has only been one day. There is a lot of time left for the fans to turn on Daniel Bryan and turn into assholes, and I know we already have a few assholes that say they hate WrestleMania because the streak ended and John Cena won. Well, that's stupid because we're getting a lot of great shit right now, and I think tonight on on Raw, it's what's that old WCW pay-per-view name before they folded? New Blood Rising? That's what I felt like we had tonight on Raw. And Daniel Bryan having his moment, with the crowd to celebrate with the titles was just a great way to start, and then, of course, Mr. Dickhead's music plays, and Triple H comes out there, of course, pretty pissed off that not only did he lose, but Daniel Bryan somehow was able to beat himself again, Batista and Randy Orton in that fucking clusterfuck main event. He was able to overcome so many odds to win the title, and Triple H is a little bit upset about it. So after a quick little promo, he announces that he himself is going to be challenging Daniel Bryan for the title tonight. And right away, the WWE has got us hooked again. I have to give them credit in the main event of last night's WrestleMania because they did everything in the world that they could possibly think of to make you think that Daniel Bryan was not going to win the title. And honestly, that's all I asked out of them. That's what I was saying all during my commentaries leading up to Mania. Once Daniel Bryan got added possibly to the main event and that whole stipulation with Triple H, I was like, okay, WrestleMania is starting to become predictable now. So whatever you decide to do, just make sure you can put as many twists and turns on it as possible so where we might not see the ending coming. And everything else that they did, even Triple H and Stephanie coming out during the main event, the Sledgehammer making an appearance, they did a great job booking that match, and setting it up, and I thought it was just what a great WrestleMania. I can't say enough good things about it. I know WrestleMania wasn't all good, but if a John Cena victory ruins the show for you, then you need to seek psychiatric help. So now on Raw, we've got to wait 3 hours to the main event to see if indeed Triple H wins the world title, and it was all a big setup by the WWE. They gave the fans the moment at WrestleMania. Triple H did the job and made himself look like an idiot, only for him to have the great moment and the big fuck you to the fans to close out Raw the next night. I wasn't too worried about that this time around. I knew this wasn't going to be a repeat of Night of Champions. By the way, thank you to those who corrected me in my last commentary. I was talking about when the fans were bitching about the pay-per-view wanting to get their money back when they called for refunds. I thought that it was Battleground. It was actually Night of Champions when Daniel Bryan won the title and then Triple H stripped him of it the next night. So anyway, Raw moves on, and by the way, I'm completely skipping around between WrestleMania, the Hall of Fame, Raw, some of the other shit we saw. This is just going to be an overall general discussion. There is just a lot to get into. Bray Wyatt had another chance to get his hands on John Cena, and I believe this was the first match. Again, the Cena hating, give it a rest. He serves his purpose, he plays his role in the WWE, and hopefully, with some of the trends that we've been seeing lately, maybe John Cena is winding down. Maybe he'll continue to be his character, be the moneymaker for the WWE targeting that one demographic, but maybe John Cena is finally on the decline. I'm not saying he's not going to have another WrestleMania main event again or anything like that, but I think maybe overall, the booking of the Super Cena week in, week out, every single main event on Raw, those days at least seem to be over for the time being because, with Brock Lesnar, Daniel Bryan, Triple H, Randy Orton, Batista, all these big-time players kind of in the title mix right now, not to mention Cesaro and some other guys getting on the map, you have to wonder how John Cena even fits in. So to me, it almost seems like John Cena has been downgraded just a step. He's still going to continue to do everything for the WWE that he does, but as far as his involvement in top storylines right now, he's got nothing to do with them. And tonight, he's got to face Bray Wyatt and the Wyatt family in a six-man match with his two partners, Sheamus and Big E. But this match made me happy because I knew the Wyatts were a shoo-in to win this match. This is a meaningless six-man tag. John Cena is tagging with two guys that he never tags with, going up against a tight-knit faction that's on a roll, and Bray Wyatt needs to get something back from his loss at WrestleMania last night, and the only thing that this match was missing was Bray Wyatt pinning John Cena. But that didn't happen. He pinned Big E instead, and that's fine. The Wyatt family won. That's all that matters. And you know what else matters? What did I tell you? John Cena is still involved with the Wyatts. This ain't over yet. I'm sure we will see developments in the upcoming weeks for whatever sort of gimmick match they're going to wind up having at Extreme Rules, and hopefully Bray Wyatt will get something over on John Cena. It may take a long, drawn-out program to get to that point, but I think in the end, Bray Wyatt will come out a better performer for having worked this program with Cena. So Cena lost in the opening match on Raw to a bunch of young guys that are super over. To me, that's all that matters. Go Wyatts. I absolutely love that team. And by the way, how cool was their entrance at WrestleMania, their live entrance? I was fucking creeped out by that. I was scared shitless of that entrance. You know what the band reminded me of? Those big masks they were wearing. Anybody remember the movie Beetlejuice from, at least 25 years ago now? Michael Keaton, Alec Baldwin, and Gina Davis. It reminds me in the part in the movie where Gina Davis and Alec Baldwin are dead and they're trying to do things to scare the people out of their house. And so they do something like they stretch their faces out, they put their fingers through their eyes, and they just pull their noses straight down. It looked exactly like the masks that the band was wearing during the Wyatt family's entrance, and it was just creepy as shit. Like I said, a lot of young guys got on the map tonight. We saw the Wyatt family win over John Cena and his team. We saw a Bo Dallas promo. I've been wondering when he was going to be pulled up, so Bo Dallas is now here. We had a feeling after WrestleMania we would see a lot of these NXT guys that are currently over, and we did. We also saw a promo for Adam, whoever the fuck Adam is. I know he's an NXT guy, but I don't know anything about him, and he's sucking a lollipop and had a pretty funny little promo and vignette, and he will be debuting in the near future as well. We saw the debut of Alexander Rusev, or whatever his name is. You know, the WWE played this one smart. They made his match short, sweet, and quick, and they didn't overdo it and allow the fans to shit on it. You know, this was a very risky time to debut this character. The fans could have just sang through the whole thing, but they got it over with. The guy got over. He's pretty good, pretty athletic for a big guy like that, although I just hate the gimmick. I mean, how many times have we seen this? Just, you know, some foreign guy with a woman, you know, or a manager that talks for them. I mean, we just saw this with Tenzai. We just saw this with fucking Kozlov, and I don't know how many others, you know, in the past. And to me, you know, it's just a very cheap, generic way to get over the fact that this guy is from another country. I don't care if you build him to be the super indestructible monster, but just this sort of gimmick that they're doing with him and this woman, you know, it just seems way too much like things that we've seen before. Paige also made her debut, and made her debut in a big way, and you guys all know how I love Paige ever since I discovered that she existed. She's quite a hot little piece of ass. She looks like a little fucking Addams Family kid. But I gotta say, as much as I like her, I actually didn't like her spot tonight on Raw. You know, I'm fine with her debuting. She needs to be brought up. She's done a great job in NXT, you know, and for her to make some noise by winning the Divas title, no big deal. The Divas title's a piece of shit. Who cares? You know, if somebody comes in and wins it like that. But I actually would have liked to see AJ hold on to the Divas title a little longer. As a matter of fact, I would have really liked to see AJ hold the title longer than CM Punk held his title. I think that would be a nice little jab at CM Punk from the WWE, that the woman he's about to marry, you know, actually has a longer streak than him. And she kind of has that same CM Punk gimmick, calling herself the savior. Even the shirt that she wears, you know, Punk back in the day, one of his first WWE t-shirts, didn't he have something like that with the rib cage and the heart behind it, or, you know, whatever AJ Lee is wearing? I remember Punk had something really similar. So I actually almost thought the WWE was going to turn her into a female CM Punk, kind of as a rib on Punk. But instead they have her lose in a really lame segment to Paige. Paige comes out there apparently just to congratulate her. You know, what the fuck? Why would you come out there and interrupt her in the middle of a promo? If you want to congratulate her backstage. It made no sense at all. You know, of course, AJ challenges her and she hits her little leg sweep move, I think, which was partially botched, and got the quick pin on AJ after it was nothing, after AJ defeated 14 women last night. And ended up winning the Divas title. So I guess you can safely say Paige has been launched. You know, she's won the Divas title in her first 5 minutes on the main roster but I'm not just sure the decision was that great. RVD also returned tonight. I think we've all been expecting him back sometime. I thought he might have been a surprise entrant in the Battle Royal at WrestleMania, but he returned tonight on Raw, and I like it. The WWE just announced him back. They didn't run any vignettes, or he didn't do a run-in, or no surprise, or anything like that. If this guy's only going to come in and work 3 or 4 months at a time and leave, it doesn't look like the WWE is going to put that much into him. But the ring announcer just got on the mic and said, "Welcome back, RVD," and he beat Damian Sandow in a decent match. And I'm really glad he's back. It's never a bad thing when we see RVD. Guess who else we saw? The Ultimate Warrior. The Ultimate Warrior was on Raw, in the ring. He came out to the ring. We haven't seen him on Raw in 18 years. I was at the show just days later after his final Raw appearance when he was no-showing events. And it was a show in Detroit, Michigan at the Joe Louis Arena, and I was backstage. And that was the night that Sid returned to the WWE, you know, after being off for some time, and he came in and ran in during Shawn Michaels' match, and then he actually took the Ultimate Warrior's place in a match against Owen Hart. And then, of course, just a couple of days later after that, he would actually debut on TV on Raw. So before that whole Raw segment with Ahmed Johnson, Shawn Michaels, and Sid, he actually re-debuted on a house show a couple of nights before that. And I'll never forget the signs on the door that was handwritten on notebook paper. That's how unofficial things were done back then, and the note simply said, "The Ultimate Warrior will not be appearing tonight." And I've always felt that that was kind of shitty of him for the WWE to bring him back in 1996 when they so badly needed star power. You know, all their guys were leaving. Nash left, Hall left. You know, the Ultimate Warrior coming back was a big breath of fresh air, you know, into the WWE, who needed some guys and needed some contenders. And he lasted, you know, just a few months, not even, just a few weeks, and he was gone. It was just a huge disappointment, and I was always just a little bit bitter towards the Warrior for that. And to see him tonight on Raw was pretty surreal. But what was the point of his promo? He didn't come out in his full-on outfit or run down to the ring or do all of his shit. And I know he's old. He probably can't even do that anymore. But he got in the ring in a suit, put on the big Warrior jacket, pulled out a mask like a kid's Halloween mask, Warrior mask, and put it on. Oh, and I will say this about his Hall of Fame speech, by the way. You know, it went a little long for me. I think some guys were cut a little shorter than the Ultimate Warrior, and he went really, really long. But one thing that I will give the man is that he did seem genuinely sad and genuinely hurt by the self-destruction of the Ultimate Warrior DVD. He mentioned it a lot of times in his speech, and for that I do feel for him. Looking back, it was a pretty shitty thing for the WWE to do, and I can see how that would be hurtful to anyone who had to watch an entire DVD produced and made to highlight what an asshole you were. I think that that would hurt anybody's feelings, and I actually felt bad for the Ultimate Warrior, and he mentioned it many times. You know, that stuck with him. You know, that's something that probably ate away at him, just like the screw job ate away at Bret Hart. And, you know, it's just nice overall to see all of the fences mended, you know, at least as best as possible. There was even a picture tweeted, you know, of Hellwig and Vince McMahon hugging each other. I couldn't believe it. So it's nice to see that, you know, bygones can still be bygones, and sometimes you can still make amends no matter how crazy things get. You know, so the Ultimate Warrior, you know, just mixed feelings on it from me, from a personal standpoint. You know, I'm glad he's there, you know, and I appreciate him, but at the same time, you know, not sad to see him go either. So where were we? Warrior promo on Raw, right? Okay, he's gone. What else happened? We might as well talk about the Brock Lesnar promo, because this is going to tie into something else. Brock Lesnar hit the ring, and we talked about the streak earlier, but it made me think. I mean, they got on the mic and showed The Undertaker no respect at all. Paul Heyman spent 5 minutes putting over Brock Lesnar and how badass he is for ending the streak, and that he is the one in the 21-1. And it was a great promo. Paul Heyman is so fucking awesome, you know, and it got me thinking to more about the streak. You know, and I got to say, a lot of people, including myself, were questioning the decision to have Brock be the guy when you could use the streak to launch somebody else. Well, maybe that just can't happen now. Maybe The Undertaker is too old. Maybe it had to be this year or never. And Brock Lesnar, it's not like he has no history at all in the WWE. Just because he left and he didn't enjoy the schedule doesn't mean he's not a big draw and he's not great in the ring. He's had some pretty decent matches since coming back to the WWE, and he looks like a legitimate fighter. He's believable. That's what wrestling is all about, being as believable as possible. And with Brock Lesnar being the guy to end the streak, something we never thought we would see happen, and has got the whole world talking, you know, that makes him basically untouchable. Because if Brock would have lost, he would have had a losing record in the WWE. He would have had a losing record at WrestleMania, including losing 2 in a row. You know, what makes us think that Brock is such a badass when he's putting up these horrible numbers? So he needed a big victory. I can't believe this was it. I still can't believe it happened. But now Brock is huge. Sometimes it just doesn't matter if you deserve it or if you're on the road all the time or not, or paying your dues. It's not about deserving it. It's about business. It's about money. And Brock Lesnar is a draw. And this sets him up perfectly for whatever he is involved with next year at WrestleMania 31. Brock Lesnar could very well be WWE champion going into WrestleMania 31 next year. And on top of that, you know, that has to mean Brock is sticking around at least for a little while. The WWE would not have him be the guy to beat the streak. If he was going to leave in 6 months and go back to UFC or something like that, he's going to be around for a minimum of another year, and most likely beyond that. He'll never wrestle full-time again. We're going to have to get used to that, but at the same time, Brock Lesnar is money. And when you're money, sometimes the rules just don't apply to you. So after more reflection, my position pretty much stands on Brock Lesnar beating the streak. I'm very sad, you know, still emotionally reeling from that decision. But at the same time, very excited that, like I said earlier, that level of disbelief, that level of shock, you know, and how much it got the wrestling world buzzing, that being possible today, to me, makes it all worth it. And WrestleMania is a milestone show. And like I said, The Undertaker is a professional. And maybe he said in his mind, why don't I have the ability, The Undertaker has the ability to give this WrestleMania something that it will be known for forever. And with the WWE appearing to really start putting a lot and investing a lot, in a new breed of talent, it seemed like if the streak was ever going to end, the big 3-0 at WrestleMania might as well be the place to do it. And maybe in a way it was The Undertaker's gift back to the WWE, his gift back to WrestleMania for all of the great moments that it provided for him. He was giving a moment back to WrestleMania and said, fine, from now on, WrestleMania 30 will be known for this moment, and nobody will ever forget this pay-per-view, like they had to forget WrestleMania 20. Nobody's going to forget WrestleMania 30. And with Paul Heyman, cutting the promo about how great Brock is and how he was the one to beat the streak, I'm almost not sure if we've seen the last of The Undertaker, but, it's appearing that we have. I guess we're going to find out more. The Undertaker apparently collapsed after he came through the curtain, as Paul Heyman said in his promo. Apparently that is legit. He did go to the hospital. I don't know if it was as dramatic as him collapsing and, people had to help him up and all of that. I don't know. But I do know that he had some sort of a concussion, some sort of a neck problem. Plus he's old, and they took him to the hospital. And the story goes that Vince McMahon missed the main event because he went to the hospital with The Undertaker. I think they said Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar went with him too. So in that respect, it was really sad that not only did the streak end, but The Undertaker might have gotten hurt, So I just hope that he's all right. I know he was at Raw. There was videos of him walking around. I know he's fine. Got a lot of that stupid link. People are seeing these dumbass stories that The Undertaker changed the finish or mistake or whatever. Don't believe that stuff. What the fuck, man? I can't believe how many people, were saying, oh my God, The Undertaker got fired or something like that. Come on. How can you even read the first 5 words of any of that stuff and believe it's real? Like, that's nonsense. Speaking of Paul Heyman, he's got a new guy. Antonio Cesaro was to be presented with the Andre the Giant trophy that he won at WrestleMania 30 by Hulk Hogan. He comes out to the ring and gets the trophy. Zeb Coulter gets on the mic and just starts, talking shit, and Cesaro basically just announces out of the blue, as a surprise to all of us, what a great surprise for this Monday Night Raw, that he's not a Zeb Coulter guy, he's a Paul Heyman guy, and I fucking shit myself. Excuse me, what did you say? You're a Paul Heyman guy? That is fucking awesome. I just hope that Cesaro doesn't turn into Curtis Axel, but finally the WWE is recognizing another young guy. Another guy that can fucking work in the ring and that is just as good as any of them, seems to be now getting his due as well. Swagger came out there and attacked him, smashed the trophy to shit, and then they had a match together, which I thought Cesaro would just have to squash Swagger. Paul Heyman is out there, in this priceless pose, holding on to what's left of the trophy, which is just the Andre the Giant, gold statue part. He's clutching it the way he used to clutch CM Punk's WWE title. And I'm just laughing my ass off, and I'm wondering how badly Cesaro's going to beat the crap out of Jack Swagger, but it really didn't go that way. It didn't end the way I was hoping it would end, and Swagger, looks like he's going to be getting another shot at Cesaro here in the future, and the feud, is obviously going to continue. They're going to have a couple of matches, but I thought if they were going to launch Cesaro as the new Heyman guy, with how kick-ass he's been, body slamming the Big Show over the top rope at WrestleMania, all the kick-ass matches he's had in the last few weeks and months, why can't he just beat the crap out of Swagger like he's supposed to? But why the hell am I complaining? I cannot think of a better guy to keep Paul Heyman busy while Brock Lesnar, is back at home taking his time off. And it means Paul will be sticking around, which is great. I love his character. He's dynamite on the mic. He is fucking gold. And I hope that he can do wonders for Antonio Cesaro's career. And he deserves it. That guy's fucking awesome. And I just hope. Somebody was calling it out, too. During WrestleMania weekend, I think it was Foley or somebody like that was teasing that they expect Cesaro to have a big moment, either at WrestleMania or on Monday Night Raw. And I dare say he had one on both. What is that again that you haters say about the WWE? Same old shit. They never push new stars. They hold people back and fuck them over for no reason. What was that again? It doesn't seem like that's what we're seeing right now. There is a whole hell of a lot of young talent getting on the map right now as we speak. Which brings us to our main event, Daniel Bryan defending the title against Triple H. I wasn't too worried that Daniel Bryan would lose the title. I didn't even care what happened as long as the show ended with Daniel Bryan keeping the title, because all he has to do is get over that first day, get through that first hump, and that means his title reign should continue for at least a little while. And I started feeling better and better as the show went on, and we saw no Shield match, and I was like, great. Hopefully they will come out and do something to prevent Triple H from fucking over Daniel Bryan and winning the title and, instigating a full-blown riot in New Orleans. And then right before the match, they teased the little promo in the backstage area with Kane. Kane and the Shield are supposed to be on the same page. They're all supposed to be working for the Authority, working for Triple H and Stephanie. So they're out there saying, you guys have got number one mission is to stay on the same page, and you've got to do everything you have to do to make sure that Triple H walks out of there as champion. And then we get to the match, and interestingly enough, Orton and Batista come out there together, no music, just walk down to the ring and just beat the crap out of Daniel Bryan, leaving him laying. Then Kane comes out there seemingly to put a stop to it, but all that does is result in another choke slam for Daniel Bryan. It's 3-on-1. He's completely decimated. And then Triple H comes out to the ring and makes the referee ring the bell. And just as he's about to finish off a half-unconscious Daniel Bryan, the Shield's music hits and they get into the ring. And it's a stare down. It's the young Shield versus the old fuckers, Batista, Randy Orton, and Kane. And Triple H, for that matter. The standoff was awesome. The crowd was going nuts. I think there were "This is awesome" chants going on. It was just such a glimpse into the future. You had Orton and Batista and Kane on one side and the Shield. I love the Shield. They are so badass. I hope they never break up. And then finally the fight was on and the Shield and Daniel Bryan stood tall. That's the way the show should end. I didn't even care that we really didn't have a match. All I cared about is that Daniel Bryan is still the WWE champion. I think the Shield finally has officially turned face. If they haven't already turned face as it is, I think tonight was the official stamp solidifying the Shield's face turn, and Triple H is going to be plenty pissed off about that too. And it's nice to see Daniel Bryan has got some allies. I thought it was a great way to end Raw. Daniel Bryan is still the champion. The Shield is awesome, and they backed down a bunch of guys that the fans always say hold people back. I don't know if we'll ever see an 8-man tag out of this, the Shield and Bryan versus those 4 guys. I have no idea. And I have no idea what their plans are going to be for Extreme Rules. I don't know if Daniel Bryan is going to have to face one guy or if he's going to have to face a lot of guys. I have a feeling it's going to either be a triple threat match again or it's going to be a fatal 4-way. And it's almost going to be like Daniel Bryan is going to be going 3-on-1. And who knows where Brock Lesnar fits into this either. I thought Paul Heyman was going to mention his title shot on Raw, but he didn't. And I would think that after Brock Lesnar beat the streak, that hopefully he will be in line, to have one of these big matches. And I think he would be a perfect guy to face Bryan, especially if Bryan gets through the next set of matches with Batista or Orton or Triple H or whoever. Then maybe Triple H is so upset that he says, finally, I can't do it. I can't take the title off of you myself. I'm going to have Brock Lesnar do it. That could come later this year. It would be nice if Daniel Bryan could hold the titles through SummerSlam, maybe even into the fall, and then have Brock Lesnar beat him for it and Brock Lesnar go into WrestleMania as champion. For myself and all of the other Daniel Bryan lovers out there, I think we need to kind of be realistic. I don't think we're going to see a year-long Daniel Bryan title reign. I can't see that happening. I think we're looking anywhere from 3 to 9 months for Daniel Bryan, and that's it. I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong, but just with all the major players in the mix right now, I just don't see how Daniel Bryan can have a lengthy title reign anywhere close to something like CM Punk did. But that's okay. We've got plenty of time to critique Daniel Bryan's title reign. We should enjoy the moment, which is what I'm doing. Seeing him win those titles at WrestleMania and seeing the celebration and the reaction and the love that the fans were giving him, during his, promo on Raw, to me, made the whole weekend worth it, and it was one of my favorite WrestleManias in a long time. And looking back on it now, a full day after the fact, I definitely have to put this WrestleMania in my top 5 of all time, just because of what it signified, what it meant. Agree with the streak or not, the streak ending is still a big deal. It's a huge deal. It's a colossal deal. It is a Sammartino losing. It is an Andre slamming. It is a Bret Hart screwing sized event that took place. It is enormous, and it is very, very meaningful and significant, in the history of the business. And like I said, if nothing else, WrestleMania 30 will always be remembered for that. What else can I talk about before I finally sign off and close the book on this year's WrestleMania? Some of the other things that we did see on the show that I did not mention in my post-pay-per-view reaction video. I did talk about how great The Rock and Stone Cold and Hogan's promo was to open the show, but what was even crazier was they did do a backstage segment with WrestleMania 1. I can't believe I didn't even mention that. They had Orndorff and Piper on one side, and they had Hogan and Mr. T on the other with Mean Gene in between them. That was pretty crazy and pretty surreal to see that, and it was even crazier to see Mr. T and Roddy Piper sitting there, and they shook hands. Roddy Piper has always been adamant that he just fucking hated Mr. T. I just did not think those guys liked each other. And speaking of guys not liking each other, what was most amazing about this year's WrestleMania is that everybody was there. Every star that's not dead was around, and a lot of these guys have heat with each other. I think it was only a year ago that Kevin Nash and the Ultimate Warrior were threatening to kill each other on YouTube. And they were both backstage. They were both at the Hall of Fame. Nash was an inductor, and Warrior was being inducted. It was crazy enough to see Hogan and Austin sitting at the front row together, at the Hall of Fame, and then they cut the promo the next night at WrestleMania together, and I couldn't believe it. Not to mention all the heat that Hogan has with Warrior, too. Warrior hates a lot of those guys out there. I'm not even sure if he was too crazy about Jake the Snake Roberts. Jake the Snake Roberts participated in that Ultimate Warrior DVD. He talked about some of the shittiness of the Ultimate Warrior back in the day, so there was just an awful lot of heat. And I'm guessing that all these legends actually did behave like adults like they're supposed to, and put all their differences aside for one weekend because, you think of all those guys. Bret Hart was there, Ric Flair was there, Hulk Hogan was there, Mick Foley was there. I never thought Austin and Hogan liked each other. Bret and Hogan never liked each other. Hogan and Warrior never liked each other. Nash and Warrior don't like each other. Nobody likes the Clique. Roddy Piper doesn't like Mr. T. Bruno Sammartino doesn't like Hulk Hogan. There's just so many guys that were there, that just didn't like each other, that were all like in the same surroundings. To me, that was crazy. I thought for sure we were going to hear some sort of an internet story about some sort of a confrontation or some sort of fight between a couple of old fart, jealous prick egomaniacs. I thought for sure that somebody was going to throw a punch out there. Even Shawn Michaels was advertised to be on Good Morning America. When I saw the advertisement, I couldn't believe it. I'm like, John Cena, Hogan, and Michaels. Shawn hates Hogan. And I thought, well, if nothing else, maybe Shawn will just oversell him on Good Morning America. But they pulled Shawn from the show. He actually didn't appear on it. And I'm wondering if the reason they pulled him is because he just doesn't want to be around Hogan. There was just a lot of dynamics, with these personalities all present in the same place for such a big celebration like this. And I'm glad that everybody behaved themselves. And I'm proud of all these old guys, for not getting in fights with each other while they're there. I guess it's hard to fight with anybody at the Hall of Fame with that sort of an atmosphere, and that sort of a feeling going around. I love the Hall of Fame this year. It was an amazing ceremony. I think my favorite speech actually was Lita's. I loved her induction overall. I thought Trish did a great job, and I thought Lita was awesome, in her speech and some of the names she dropped and the shout-outs she gave and all of the people she thanked. Lita is just a class act. I love her. I'm so proud of her, and I know her from the Carolinas. I saw that girl grow up. So to see her go from those small independents, to Miss Congeniality, to WWE, to the star that she was and became, I'm just proud of her. I just thought it was awesome. Scott Hall and Jake Roberts' speeches got to me as well. I mean, Jake Roberts especially, he was awesome. Just so good to see him there. We were predicting their deaths a couple of years ago, and now look at them. I was just so thrilled for both of them, and Jake's speech was pretty amazing. So was Scott Hall's. I love that Nash was the one that inducted him. I love that the whole entire clique came out there. The whole clique. I don't know if we've ever seen the whole clique. Usually you see almost all of them, but one of them's missing, usually Scott Hall. Because when Shawn got inducted, I don't think Hall came out there, to see all five of them back together again, that's the first time we've seen that. That's the first time we've seen that on WWE anyway, in so many years, possibly ever, so I thought that was really awesome that they all came out there and supported Scott Hall. That's got to do a lot to help, Jake Roberts and Scott Hall and all the progress they've made, cleaning up their lives, to have this moment and to be given this moment, I think it's only going to help them and their recovery. And it's just so great. I mean, it warms my heart. I cannot believe, that these two guys could very well write a happy ending, for their lives. And it's just unbelievable. Never thought we would see that happen. And can I just say one thing? Fuck Mr. T's mom. Oh my God. What the hell was that speech all about? I'm not going to give Mr. T shit. I know people like Mr. T. I think we all do. He is the sweetest, most naive, clueless fucking old man I have ever seen. And I think it's part of his charm. He doesn't mean anything by it. He wasn't being boring on purpose. I think he was, going a little bit too long, taking it a little bit too seriously. And maybe, if he would have acknowledged, some of his work with the WWE, that would have helped. He was going into the WWE Hall of Fame, not My Mother Is Awesome Hall of Fame. And he's a sweet man. And I thought when Kane interrupted him and came out there and said, you got to go, he just got on the mic and kept saying, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, I overran my time, my bad, and he just kept backing up and got out of there. Mr. T, he might have been a badass or a jerk-off back in the day when he was younger, but now he's just, a good-hearted, Bible-toting, clueless old man, and you gotta love him. It was he needed to be in there. Mr. T needed to go into the Hall of Fame at some point. We knew we were going to get a crazy speech from him someday anyway, so this might as well be the year. The mom thing annoyed me. He mentioned his mom 6,000 fucking times. I didn't understand it at all, but you know what? It's not my place to try to understand Mr. T. If I'm surprised that he's crazy up there, then I don't know Mr. T very well. I've got to shout out Carlito. How can we not talk about Carlito? You know what? He fucking hated it there, and he is never coming back. I love Carlito for what he said. He was just joking around. He just took a few pot shots at the WWE, but I still thought it was his way of telling them, if you think I'm coming back to this fucking hellhole, you can go fuck yourself. Although it would be funny if I say that and then he shows up on Raw next week, but I got the impression from Carlito that he doesn't want anything to do with the WWE, and he did not like his time here, and he did not like the way they treated him. And he doesn't miss it at all. I like Cologne. His territory has had a lot of great wrestlers come through there, and they've provided a lot of great moments, and I think that's all part of his Hall of Fame deal anyway, is for the WWE to acquire that footage library. And that's a good thing, because that's going to be some great shit to be on the WWE Network one day. Paul Bear's induction seemed to run really short. I don't know if that was because of Mr. T, or because they just kept it short and sweet. His two gigantic sons accepted on his behalf, and it was really cool to see The Undertaker come out. The Undertaker has never appeared at a Hall of Fame like that, and he came out and saluted Paul Bear at the end. That was awesome. And, of course, I did talk a little bit about the Ultimate Warrior's induction, and like I said, the DVD really bothered him. But they have a new DVD now. It's a new day. A new page has been turned. The Ultimate Warrior now can be looked back on fondly. And I think it was a lot of closure for everyone. It was closure for him. It was closure for Vince McMahon and the WWE and anybody else, that participated in the creation of that DVD. The Ultimate Warrior was able to come in, get his moment, say whatever he wanted, say his piece, get some things off of his chest, and just, close the chapter for him. I'm sure it makes him feel great that finally he is now the guy that's on the stage at the WWE Hall of Fame. For years, this guy had to watch other people, be enshrined this way and have such bad blood with WWE, to see today him being, enshrined in the Hall of Fame at the 30th WrestleMania, a milestone show, and him patching everything up with the WWE and sweeping everything under the rug and just making amends with Vince and WWE and everybody else. And, now the Warrior is immortalized, and he deserves it. Linda McMahon was an odd choice to induct him, and she was even giving him shit, during the induction. Did you hear that? She was kind of making fun of him for how nuts he was back in the day. But despite the strange choice, I thought Linda did a good job, inducting him, and I thought the overall speech was good, and I thought the overall ceremony was good. Overall, this WrestleMania gets an A. If Undertaker would have won and Cena would have lost, it would have been an A+, but nonetheless, it's still an A. So I'm going to sign off now. Before I do, you're going to get a few videos this week. Check back on my YouTube page this Thursday, April 10th. I should be releasing 3 videos to you, and I think you're really going to like what I have coming to you later on this week. I will not be around next week for Raw. I do head out of town this weekend to take care of some business, and quite frankly, I need a little bit of a break from wrestling. I am completely burnt out. So it will be a little bit longer than usual before I'm up here with a current events commentary, but I'm sure by then we will have lots to talk about. Hopefully, we won't fall into a post-WrestleMania lull period. Hopefully, things will stay hot. Daniel Bryan's run will stay strong. He'll have some good matches and good opponents, and we'll have a really hot summer and a great SummerSlam. That's what I'm hoping. So good luck, Daniel Bryan, on your upcoming title reign. You deserve it. You've earned it, and I wish you all the luck in the world in the next few weeks and months, because it sounds like you're gonna need it. Enjoy the 3 new videos that will be coming to you this week, and we will talk more about WrestleMania and current WWE storylines in about 10 or 12 days. Until then, peace.